Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Drawing with Mr. Sepulveda. I'm Mr. Sepulveda, and welcome to part 3 of my What My Students Want Me to Draw series, which will now be referred to as the Draw Jar series, just because what my students want me to draw is such a mouthful to say each and every time I do this series. And so what this involves, what the Draw Jar series involves, is me taking student suggestions that are in a jar, reaching in there and pulling out their ideas and trying to draw them in under an hour. So last time I mentioned that I usually have a timer that's off right next to me on the side, and so that's the timer that you guys see here on the top left. So the first character I got from the Draw Jar was Denki from My Hero Academia. I've drawn Denki before, so here's an image of it, and here's also an image of him colored up. And I'm gonna let you guys know, when I drew those Denkis, or drew that one Denki character, it definitely took me over an hour to make sure that it looked right. When I was jumping into this one, I already knew what he kind of looked like, but I didn't have reference to kind of bounce my ideas off of, and so I struggled. And you guys can see, like, I'm 20 minutes in and I still don't have a concrete idea. I do stick with this sketch where I'm just like, well, I'm just gonna remove most of the body because of the sake of time, and I just want to make sure that I at least have his face here, so he's recognizable to anyone that's a My Hero Academia fan. You'll see me flip the canvas over as I'm sketching, just to kind of make sure the hair is right or everything kind of looks right with him. Honestly, I think the pose that I do here for him is a bit boring. It's just literally him smiling, and I think a lot of that was because of the pressure of the time that's just kind of like ticking up. I really should do one that ticks down, but I think ticking up just kind of works for me and my workflow. About 30 minutes in, I start doing the inks, and then after that, I will be pressed for the coloring stage as well as like the shading stage. I think for whoever suggested this, I think it was a great suggestion. I think it was just, I got too much into my head, and I don't feel like I did this justice for the suggestion. I think the piece is okay, just not great. It could definitely be done better. I'll let you guys tell me what your opinions are on this Denki piece down below in the comments, and I'll let this keep playing, and I'll talk to you about suggestion number 2. Oddly enough, the second suggestion that I drew from the Draw Jar was Bakugo, also from My Hero Academia. I'm a huge fan of Bakugo, one of my favorite characters from My Hero. And just like Denki, I've actually drawn Bakugo several times over. I drew him once for one of my Outschool class covers, where I had him with his 2 grenades ready to blast off. I drew him as a Pomeranian getting slapped by his mom, similar to one of those episodes from My Hero where Bakugo's mom kind of smacks him on top of the head. And then by far, I think like my favorite Bakugo that I've drawn was him as a cactus. And each of those, again, took me a good amount of time. The cactus did not take me more than an hour. I think it was just a lot of fun for that one. But the other two definitely did take me a little bit more than an hour to make sure that I got proportions right, I got my coloring right, I was rendering him correctly. And so this one actually proved to be probably the biggest challenge of the entire video, I think. I think when it came down to Bakugo and when I was drawing him, I wanted to do him from a pretty unique angle where his left hand, the one that's closest to us, is towards the bottom of the page and was kind of like blasting off, while his right hand had like the grenade on it. I don't know what it was. I think I didn't get into my own head here, but I definitely recognized various parts of this that just were not right and were not working for me. I thought I did fine on that arm closest to us. I think I did fine on the hands and the details on the hands. I think when I got to the torso just looks wrong. And I don't know what it is. I think in perspective, in the way that he's supposed to be turned, I should see a little bit more of his body, maybe more of his rib cage. I don't even know what his side leg is supposed to be doing. And I think that's what gets me, because if you notice, I'm half an hour into this drawing already, and I'm still inking, right? And I'm trying to like do his other hand, and I'm trying to do the grenade, and he's got a lot of moving pieces. I should have kind of learned from the first one where I had the reference from Denki, right? Like I did take reference earlier before I recorded, but I really should have thought about the conceptual idea for this piece before I actually started drawing. I should have simplified it a little bit more than what I did, I think. I think this is not my favorite of the batch. I think it's I won't even say it's okay, because I might be completely critical of my own artwork, but I'm just not thinking that this is okay. I think this is probably one of my worst drawings ever. But again, I'm a harsh critic when it comes to my own pieces. I think one thing that I don't like, and I didn't realize it until just now at this very moment, but the background for Bakugo is about the same background that I had for Denki, so I think that was a problem there. Not to mention, I'm like pushing against the clock, as you guys can see. I'm 54 minutes in, 55 minutes in, and he's not even done yet. So you can only imagine what the final product looks like. Again, not my favorite in the batch. Let me know what you guys think about this Bakugo that I created in under an hour. So it wasn't just bad enough that I didn't get lighting done for Denki. It wasn't bad enough that I didn't get any shading or lighting or awesome effects for Bakugo, but I didn't even get my screen recorder up and running on time for this one. I got my timer up, but not my screen recorder for my Devil Pikachu drawing. I was so upset. I was going to actually leave this episode like this, but then I decided, no, I can't. I'm just going to go ahead and open up for a fourth suggestion, right? First time I'm doing it here on the Draw Jar series. And that fourth suggestion was drawing myself as Superman. And I'm not gonna lie, guys, this is not the first time I've drawn myself as Superman. So this was actually pretty easy. Myself as Superman is pretty much my Instagram profile picture, right? And so I wanted to make sure I went with like one of those old school Superman animated styles when I drew myself here. I did learn a lot from my mistakes on the first two, and of course the last one as well, because I decided to hit that screen record and make sure it was running first thing. But ultimately, like, I started moving a lot faster on this, and like under 10 minutes I was done with my sketch and I was ready for line work, right? It didn't happen for the first two. It may have been about that way for Devil Pikachu, because I actually moved pretty quickly with that one. and I'm really upset that you guys don't get to see that, because I kept him super simple. If you guys kind of rewind back and double check and see that his fingers aren't fingers, they're just like nubs, they're just round shapes. Well, that's pretty much what I was kind of aiming for here when I was drawing myself as Superman. I wanted to keep a lot of it simple. Like the fingers, they're just like little rectangles, just kind of holding, because they're being folded inside of the shirt as he's ripping it open, right, to show that emblem, right, the iconic Superman type of pose. But yeah, I was moving quick. I was moving like the Flash on this one. I felt really confident, really great about this entire piece. This one's probably by far one of my favorite pieces on here. I did really heavily influence this on my style with dropping in some details in the folding or the clothing folds. There we go, right? Gonna use my brain today to get some words out. And then just trying to make sure I had fun with kind of redesigning the S a little bit, because I wanted this to be a little bit more like me, so it's a little bit more plushy, a little bit more round, right? A little bit more fun. And so in under 25 minutes, I end up with the coloring, which is great, because then that means I have time for some shading. And what I actually have time for in this piece that I didn't have time for in the others was a legitimate background. Like the other ones had some gradient drops, right? The Devil Pikachu had some fireball action going on, maybe some mountainous little region for himself. This one I have like trees in the background, I have buildings in the background, there's some grass somewhere, there's a sky. So I try to give him like a whole background. I was gonna keep his like button-down shirt white, but then I just didn't like it, so I kind of went with one of my favorite colors, which is green. But I didn't want it to be like a dark green, I didn't want it to be too bright, so I try to find some sort of mid-tone-ish area for it, just to kind of work and play off the skin tone. And it'll actually help bring out and pop out that blue Superman shirt and the logo emblem for him. So I thought that was pretty stellar. That was pretty dope. So real quick, if you guys have made it this far into this video, go ahead, hit the subscribe button, guys. If you're new to this channel, come see what else my students want me to draw. I think that's a lot of the fun of it. I enjoy it. My wife is a big fan of it, because she likes to be the one that tries to pull out all the suggestions out of the jar for me to draw, and so I think it's wildly fun. I think everyone should do it. You come by and watch this on a regular if you want. I think this is just going to be one of those series that kind of stays from year to year, just because I'm a teacher, right? I'm always going to have some new students that always have some crazy cool ideas, and so here it is. This is my Superman, or myself as Superman. Pretty fun piece here. And again, out of the four, I think this one was my favorite. Not trying to be biased, but I am the head guy there, right? So here are the four suggestions again. Here are the four art pieces. We got Denki, we've got Bakugo, Devil Pikachu, and myself as Superman. Guys, let me know in the comments down below which one is your favorite. Friday, I'm going to drop off a special redraw video for you guys, because I'm still in the giving mood from Thanksgiving. And then, of course, I'll see you guys in the next video on Tuesdays. You guys have a good one. Bye-bye.